type of things. I started doing things which nobody expected me to do. Very rebellious things. I started stealing, and I started doing even worse things like smoking weed. And they started looking at him like, oh man, he's really cool. Look at him. I thought he was a geek. Now he's rhyming and he's smoking and this and that. And I started to turn almost like a show, like a... But that wasn't enough. I needed to act. I need to add some more to my show. So what did I do? I started dancing. I started popping and locking. I started doing waves, and I started popping like a robot, and started doing all weird things. And then people said, now that's really a character. Now that's a show. And so I took my show on the road when I went to New York. I started going to upstate New York, and I met some really weird kids. And they found out that I was even weirder than them. And then I started challenging people. I said, look, I can do what you can do, except only one thing. I can do it better. I can be rapping on times and times, on rhymes and lines from higher elevations, and it's a concentration. My mind is like a calibration of things you never thought of. You never thought you heard this from a person like me. I'm mighty like lightning, blasting down on grounds profound. I be trying to hit the rhyme so profound, the sound is not labeled in categories, and I be hitting your rhyme like it was a theory, smearing your brain across these rhymes, and I be wearing. But I'm never tired of rhyming and timing and finding the lines to be putting in your mind like painted pictures on canvases that are actually mindscapes on XYZ platforms, and I be rhyming storms up into your little wee mind as I rhyme from time to time. It's a line in the back of a timescape, and it was my escape, and it was the way that I taught you that I was better. But in reality, after all this, my heart really wasn't that great. But I did start to get a little bit famous when I started to do my poetry. And I started to go on stages and rap in front of people, in front of real audiences. And then when they heard that I had something to say, I started to get a little bit popular. But the more popular I got and the more famous I got, the more I realized I was empty inside. And to try to fill this void, I looked to many different things. I looked to different people and different friends. And I also looked to different types of art. Yoga, meditation, holding my breath, trying to see things, but at the end it was all fake. And I found that there was only one true thing. After all this went away, it was Allah. After everything I saw was fake, after all this rhyming and all these drugs and all these friends, they all melted away, because it wasn't true. In the end, only one thing remained. Allah. The oneness. The truth. When everybody's face had melted and gone, only one thing stood. Islam. And then I started to question things. Why do I have to be like my parents? Why do I have to act like them? Why do I have to fall into their diseases? That's not what pleases me and everything that I was seeing. This world keeps turning and turning, and everyone's heart keeps burning and burning and yearning for things that are past this eclipse and atmosphere. And what I started to see around me tried to make me fear. I didn't understand how to put one and one together. It must have added 3, but not 2 to me. Because the truth be that reality is but deception, and everything is democratic like a weird election. But elections, even them themselves are triggered. And I started to melt myself like a wigger. Now what is next after this weird conception? I searched from here to there. I searched everywhere imaginable, up, down, side to side, around. But in the end, I only knew one thing. There was one being, one creator. And when I prayed to everything, everything went down. But when I prayed to the creator, he heard my sound. He answered my prayers, over here, over there. The Creator is everywhere. That is what I realized. That is the truth. And that's what I submitted to. I started going to college. I started meeting different cats. I started acting all cool and very sophisticated. I started acting like I was someone else. but it didn't matter at all. Only thing that mattered was finding the oneness. And through that I found my answers. I started going here, I started going there, trying to find out how to pray. And I started meeting different people. I tried to gain Islam through them. I asked questions, I looked at their character, I started joining in with them. They were the Muslim brothers on campus. And I had fun with them during Ramadan, during this brotherhood. It was so great. Every night sitting together in iftar, having food, praying, so spiritual with hadith and this and that. But after Ramadan, everything went away. They were fake. I had to find something else. They really weren't pleasing me anymore. They had different groups of brothers with different ideologies. But in the end, it was all just arrogant. And then one day, I was walking through the hall. But now I wasn't a rapper anymore. I had a beard and I had a turban. And I looked and I saw Brother Ahmed sitting down. And I said, I tried everything else, it doesn't work. Maybe he has something that can help me. And I walked in the room. I asked if I could sit down. So I sat after they said okay. And then, from that moment, my life started. That's when I started really seeing what everything is. And even though at first I didn't know what he was saying, I sat down and I kept on listening. And it slowly started opening in my heart. And after each session, after each listening, slowly I came more closer to the truth. And that's how my story began. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. The message I would like to give to the youth is that everything around us seems so tempting and so good at the time especially. But once we get what we think we want and we have it, we found out one thing. We're left empty and we don't have what we really want, which is the oneness inside of our hearts. And I can promise you, no matter how much you search within fashion and girls and drugs or whatever it is, it'll always leave you empty. It'll always want you leaving more. It'll always leave you depressed and asking more questions without answers. And that you'll always be searching, never happy. Only the day when you realize that you owe everything to Allah and that Allah has been with you your whole time, your whole life, taking care of you, that's the day you'll be happy. And once you start